What's up, college football fans? Tony Valente here once again with the Mean Green Show. Today, joined once again by Stephen Hamner, and we're going to jump into a little bit of Austin Aune's game coming off of the win against UTEP, and as well as go into a little bit of Tanner Mordecai's game, the SMU quarterback who UNT plays this Saturday. And Steve, we got to come up with a thing for this. I'm thinking we could call this Hamner time. I mean, what do you think for a catchy thing that we're calling this segment?
Whatever you want. I don't know if we'll get sued by that Hammer Time, but
Yeah, I think he does watch the show, so you might be right.
we'll come after all the subscribers and views and just put us out of business.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, no, yeah, we'll figure out something. You're more creative than I am, obviously. You got the hair, I got the basic look. My hair still spikes up, so
Oh man, but all right. So anyway, kind of going into Austin Aune's game, they pulled off the win against UTEP. Austin Aune's 3-0 against UTEP in his career and went 69 of 29. Or I'm sorry, 16 of 29 for 236 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. So yeah, if you can just kind of walk us through the things that you liked from Austin Aune's game this past Saturday and things that you think that still need to be improved on.
yeah, I think like we talked about last week, trying to get him comfortable. I think the coaching staff did a good job, like calling plays to make a quarterback comfortable. Right, you saw a lot of design kind of play action type throws, get him outside the pocket, throw on the run. Right, get him, especially a quarterback like Aune, get him comfortable throwing on the run. And they had several plays like that where he was outside the pocket throwing on the run, and so that was a good job by the coaching staff, kind of like play calling to his strengths and play calling to make him comfortable. I think Aune did a good job not throwing any interceptions. Right, we talked about that last week as well, before the game, that was one of his big improvement areas. So you don't throw any picks. Good things usually tend to happen. And then he was a bit more accurate, but at the same time, that's probably an area he wants to continue to improve on, like we talked about. There were some throws that he probably wished he had back, some kind of fairly basic, easy throws. But at the same time, he did have some pretty impressive throws as well. There's one I remember off the bat, just a quick play action in between the safety and the corner on like a little bang route, little post route. So he did make some good throws, but at the same time, he probably wants to continue to improve on that. So I think overall, good first outing, and the coaching staff did a good job putting him in a position to succeed. And now it's just building on top of that and being a bit more accurate and hitting those throws that you need to complete, because you're not going to get away with that when you play probably some tougher competition.
Yeah, and speaking of competition, looking over at Tanner Mordecai, the quarterback at SMU, coming off a season where he put up over 3,600 yards, 39 touchdowns, only 12 interceptions, with a completion percentage rate of 67.8. Not too bad, I guess. And it's surprising that SMU is only a 10.5-point favor in this game, but. Really, if you could kind of just let us know what makes Mordecai and this offense so effective, and then also what can UNT do to, maybe disguise some looks, maybe get Mordecai off his game, in this rivalry matchup.
Yeah, so I think with Mordecai, there's a reason why he was at OU and he was competing for the starting job a few years ago at OU. Right, big time talent, has all the intangibles. Right, big arm, big guy, can actually move too fairly decent. That's probably not something people talk about, but he did have a couple hundred yards on the ground last year as well. So he's not a statue back there. He can move as well. And like you mentioned, those pretty big stats. I think some of those stats were season records as well. So with Mordecai, I think his biggest thing is he probably wants to get off to a good start, especially with how they finished last year. They were 1-4 the last 5 games after that really hot start, and you saw that they struggled against better competition, right? Losing to Cincinnati, to U of H, and lost to Tulsa as well at the end of the game, at the end of the season. So I know they want to get on a good start, and that starts with Mordecai. Those games he probably he still played fairly well in those losses, I feel like, but he had more turnovers in those losses than in the games they won, besides the TCU game. So if you're Mordecai, you kind of just keep doing what you did last year, maybe take care of the football a little bit more. But besides that, you're in a good position. If you're North Texas, I think it comes down to slowing down the skill guys, right? Like not giving them space. Because if you give them space, then Mordecai doesn't need that much room to complete the ball. So if you mess with the skill guys and kind of get them off position, that's going to kind of interfere with Mordecai. But those skill guys are pretty talented.
All right, last question. So you did say last time, just because you're on a North Texas themed little podcast or whatever that you went with North Texas. Obviously, you don't have to do that every week. We appreciate it when you do. But anyway, so you said you would have bet with North Texas last week, and maybe you did, maybe you didn't. And who would you bet? You said they're favored by 10.5. You think SMU is going to cover that? Who are you betting with on this one, and how would you draw that up?
So I actually did bet the Mean Green last year. Last week. I got a pick 'em, so that was a good one for me. So right now it's at a 10.5. I saw some like 11s out there as well. That's a tough one. If I had to bet the spread, I would probably go with SMU, but I would probably lean more towards the point total. I think it's at 70 right now. I'd probably take the under in that, just because 70 is pretty high. It looks sexy, but like last year the score was like 35-12, right, or something like that. And so, just because both schools have good offenses doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to just slap the scoreboard in week one. So I would probably see a bit more conservative approach from both. And so I would take the under in that. If I had to pick a spread, I'd probably go SMU, but I'll still pull for UNT for y'all.
Yeah, well, thank you. But all right, Stephen. Well, thank you as always. And week one's going to be here soon enough, so I know your Saturday is going to be completely booked.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
All right, thank you.